Create a communication code of conduct with this secret element, this secret component to supersize and grow your business. Excuse my voice. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Today we're talking about a communication code of conduct for your business, also for your life, by the way. And the secret component that you want to include in it is your moral code, your organization, your business's moral code. If that is the element of the elements that you're going to put into your communication code of conduct, you will reach more people, you will communicate more successfully, you will be in alignment and attract the people that you really want to be doing business with anyway. And that is the secret sauce to growing and building and supersizing your business. At least it's one of the components. It's one of those building blocks that when you add it, it's a little bit of work up front to do it, but then when you behave with it consistently and your entire organization does, you are so much more consistent and powerful and authentic and trustworthy than the competition. You have no competition. So what are 6 elements that we want to make sure we're including in our communication code of conduct? Those are, and our communication code of conduct is just the guidelines that we use to communicate in all different forms and mediums, and everyone in our organization uses as well. So we want to include clarity and precision in our communication. We want to, give clear, simple, straightforward, direct messages. We want to be respectful and courteous in all of our communication. I just saw something online the other day where a restaurant owner who'd spent 15 years building her restaurant, one of her employees screamed at and kicked out some MAGA people because they had a MAGA hat on or a MAGA shirt or something, and just totally humiliated and embarrassed them and said they weren't welcome in her business. Well, she came online then and said, hey, the employee was let go, of course, because that did not follow respect and courtesy to all customers. It doesn't matter what you believe to go into somebody's restaurant or coffee shop and enjoy their products and services. Who cares what your political beliefs are? And I think we've seen a lot of big organizations and big corporations take on political beliefs and publicize them only to have that backfire on them. So politics and religion, I say, does not belong in our businesses, and that's part of our communication code of conduct, but it doesn't necessarily be part of yours. Active listening should be a component of your communication code of conduct. Constructive feedback. We want to have feedback be for the person that's getting the feedback, not to just beat them up, but to help them do better and improve. Empathy and understanding is the 5th component. We want to make sure that we are listening to understand. We're really paying attention to what people are saying. Because like I say, people will tell us everything we need to know if we just listen. So active listening is a key component in all of our activities, in all of our jobs, and all of our businesses. Communication is everybody's job, right? So this code of conduct for communication is for everyone in our organization. And then the 6th component is nonverbal awareness. Are we aware of our facial expressions? Are we aware of our tone? Are we aware of the way we show up? Right? And how our demeanor, our energy, things like that. Now, to really spice this up, we want to incorporate our organization's moral code. Our moral code includes 5 elements, things like honesty. How honest are we in our organization? And guess what? We need to make a conscious decision about this if we want to have it be a real driver for business success and a competitive advantage and a competitive differentiator for us. We need to say, we're honest all the time in our communication, even if it's not comfortable, right? We are accountable. We are all personally responsible for the words, our actions, our behaviors, for our communication, for how we show up, everything. Each of us is 100% personally responsible for ourselves and how we show up and how we behave. 3rd, transparency. How much are we willing to share? How transparent are we going to be? How much of me is going to show up in my business? Me, probably, 99 to 100% of me shows up in my business. It wasn't always that way, right? When I was in corporate America, maybe 50% of me showed up there because 50% of me was polished and professional. The other 50% not so much. And I didn't want that to show up in my corporate career. So how transparent are we as an organization? What is and isn't okay to share? Because guess what? There are confidential things in our organization that need not be shared, or they're shared with certain groups, and we need to consciously determine what those are for our personal life as well as our businesses. Kindness and compassion. I'm not even going to argue about this one. People have a different level of desired kindness and compassion, but the people I work with have a very high level of kindness and compassion. We believe in treating people the way we want to be treated. And when we run across people that aren't wanting to be that way, we don't choose to do business with them. And finally, consistency is the fifth element of our moral code that we can incorporate into our communication code of conduct to just give it that extra oomph that will help us to really be seen as the leader in our industry and in our field. So how do you go about creating your own communication code of conduct? If you've never done one before, if you don't have one, I'm going to invite you today to do this because it will quickly and easily transform the culture of your organization in terms of how you treat one another, how you communicate, the types of communication that you have, etc. And that will help you be more authentic, more cohesive. And even if it just makes you more cohesive in how you interact with the outside world, that will win you customers and clients. So how do we go about doing that? It's really an easy 5-step process. Have you ever noticed that everything I do just about is a 3 to 5 step process, sometimes 7, but more than that, it gets too complicated. And the older I get, the more I'm keeping things simple. So let's just go with the 5-step process. First and foremost, you got to do a self-assessment of your organization. I like to do a SWOT analysis. What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? What are our opportunities? And what are our threats? There's a huge upside opportunity to doing this for your business. Why? Because 99% of other businesses are not doing it. They're never going to do it. They might hire a consultant that does it for them, but they still won't implement it as if it's their own because they didn't create it on their own. I challenge you to create this on your own. So do a self-assessment, figure out where you're strong, figure out where you need to like tweak and do some improvements. Maybe you're really strong with treating people the way you want to be treated and kindness and courtesy and respect, but maybe you're not so great at taking 100% responsibility. And that's an area that everybody needs to improve in. And that's a huge advantage in building a business that people trust, right? If they know that you do what you say you're going to do and that you'll honor your word and your commitments, you are golden in just about any industry on the planet. Second, define your core principles. What's most important to you and your organization? And we've probably already done this as part of our core values exercise this month. So it's just a matter of taking those principles and incorporating them into the 6 elements of the code of conduct. Where do they fit, right? Third, we're going to apply and practice. We're going to apply our code of conduct. We're going to practice our code of conduct, and we're going to see how it's working. What kind of an impact is it having? And the things that are working, we are going to, everything we're going to get feedback on to help us identify what's working. And the things that are working, we're going to build into, automate, and make habits as our 5th step. Make it I say, automate it, make it a system, make it a procedure, document it, and teach everybody how to do it and what the elements of it are. And then make that something that you give people feedback on their communication in terms of performance reviews or just plain everyday feedback. How's it going? How's it working out for you? Because as an organization, we will have a few things in our moral code that may not be consistent with people's actual personal moral code. They need to be in alignment. They don't have to be 100% the same, right? For us to be able to work in an organization. I worked for corporations that they had some moral areas that I didn't know about when I was hired, but I learned about pretty quickly as I was part of that organization. And I always stick to my own personal moral code. That's just me, who I am. And when it became a question of my moral code versus the organization's, that's when I needed to leave and choose a different location and different spot and different, sometimes different industry altogether. But that's for each of us to decide. But I still worked for organizations for 3 to 5 years before that became a rub. I call it a rub, meaning a dilemma point in a relationship where you have to decide if you're going to go or if you're going to stay. That's a very nice way of putting a rub. All right, that's it. If I can help you in any way about this, hit me up. If you've got any questions about what you should or shouldn't, or how you should or shouldn't do it or word it, just ask. Otherwise, I guarantee if you do this, you will be grateful and thankful that you did. Any time and energy you put into improving your business in ways like this that are foundational have a huge impact, an impact that you can't even imagine. But a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you will be so glad that you did this. Have a great day. And if you need help, ask. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow.